doesn't exist. So the line becomes horizontal with respect to the x-axis. That means y is independent of x. So when we carry out testing of hypothesis, we basically see the validity of the null hypothesis. And that we see with respect to certain alternative hypothesis. And what is this alternative hypothesis? That beta is not equal to 0. Say for example, if beta is not equal to 0, that means there is some influence of x on y. There is a relationship between x and y. This beta may be positive, this beta may be negative. Accordingly, the line will be positively sloped or negatively sloped. When we test hypothesis, again I am saying, we basically test hypothesis with respect to the null hypothesis only. Either the null hypothesis is rejected or it is not rejected. Though sometimes we have seen people using the term accept. In fact, in true sense, in testing of hypothesis, we don't accept anything because this alternative hypothesis may vary from case to case. Say, for example, if you are talking about demand function for a normal commodity, this alternative hypothesis will be beta less than 0. If you are talking about the demand function for shares, then this beta would be positive. Because we know we buy basically those shares for which the price goes up. Or say if we are talking about the demand function of a given commodity, then this beta would be positive. So this alternative hypothesis may vary, but this null hypothesis is basically unique in the sense that we try to see if there is any relationship at all. If the relationship doesn't exist significantly, then it doesn't matter whether beta is positive or negative. So if null hypothesis is not rejected, if beta is not statistically significantly different from 0, then this aspect doesn't have any importance as such. So when we test hypothesis, we basically test the validity of this null hypothesis against an alternative hypothesis. It may be beta not equal to 0 to tell test, where we are not very sure what would be the direction of causality, means sorry, nature of the causality, positive or negative. When we are not sure, there are arguments, counter arguments, like what we were discussing yesterday about the relationship between R&D and say advertising, or the relationship between R&D and foreign technology purchase. We are not very sure. There are both sets of arguments. So we can go for a two-tailed test and we can write beta not equal to 0. But if we are testing the validity of the law of demand, for a normal commodity, we know that the alternative hypothesis is beta less than 0. If we are talking about a given commodity, the alternative hypothesis is beta positive. So testing of hypothesis is basically carried out with respect to the null hypothesis against alternative hypothesis, which may vary from case to case. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, and one more thing, like as you explained the intuition behind using F statistics for the overall model. So when it came to individual coefficients and we discussed about the T statistic, like I didn't understand the intuition of the formula that we wrote for T statistic.
Right, that is what we are going to discuss today.
Okay, okay, sure.
This part we'll be discussing today. So I would just suggest all of you to keep one thing in mind. Don't use the term accept while concluding on the test result. Say either we reject the null hypothesis or we fail to reject the null hypothesis. Again, I am saying testing of hypothesis is carried out with respect to the null hypothesis. So either you are rejecting the null hypothesis or you fail to reject the null hypothesis. Don't use the term accept. If we reject the null hypothesis, that doesn't necessarily mean that we accept the alternative hypothesis. Okay, second point. If null hypothesis is rejected, we say that there is a significant impact of X on Y. But if null hypothesis is not rejected, then don't say that there is insignificant impact of X on Y. Don't use the term insignificant. Simply say that the impact of X on Y is not statistically significant. So I would suggest all of you to keep these two terms in mind. Don't use the term accept and don't use the term insignificant. I repeat, either we reject the null hypothesis or we fail to reject the null hypothesis. Either the relationship between X and Y is statistically significant or it is not statistically significant. Don't use the term accept or insignificant. Is it okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, I think this part now it is clear, I suppose. I'll now move to what you said. Again, it's a very, very important question that you have raised. Basically, the intuition behind derivation of these test statistics. This would be alternative. This would be again alternative hypothesis. Okay, now let us go for derivation of the test statistics. And that I have given in question number 8. Okay. So what we are trying to test? We are trying to test, say for example, for beta, the hypothesis that, just see here, beta is equal to 0. So what we are doing here, we are estimating or we are getting an estimator of beta, that is beta hat. And then we are standardizing beta hat. How to standardize beta hat? It would be basically beta hat minus expectation of beta hat divided by standard error of beta hat. That is what we do. Now, in true sense, how to standardize beta hat? Basically, beta hat minus mean of beta hat, that is expectation of beta hat, divided by standard deviation of beta hat, not standard error. That is basically square root of variance of beta hat. This is actually the way of standardizing beta hat. Now, if beta hat is an unbiased estimator of beta, then expectation of beta hat would be equal to beta. So I can write this as beta hat minus beta divided by square root of variance of beta hat. And you know, variance of beta hat is sigma square divided by summation of small xi square. Then just through mathematical simplification, we are getting an expression like this. Right? And this gives me further this expression. Why? We don't know sigma square. So what we are doing? We are using an unbiased estimator of sigma square, and we know, we have seen that earlier, this unbiased estimator of sigma square is nothing but summation of u hat I square divided by n minus 2 for a bivariate model. The moment we do this, we are basically getting an expression like this. Now you scale both the numerator and the denominator by sigma. So what we are doing? We are dividing this component by sigma, and we are basically this by sigma square, and we are taking this inside the square root. Then essentially what we are having in the numerator, you can very well see this is a standard normal distribution. This is a standard normal distribution because beta hat follows normal distribution that we have seen earlier. If beta hat follows normal distribution, then beta hat minus beta divided by this standard deviation of beta hat, this part, basically this part, this basically gives us the standardized beta hat. And standardized, if beta follows normal, beta hat follows normal distribution, then standardized beta hat will follow standard normal distribution. On the other hand, if you see the denominator, you see u hat I. What is u hat I? U hat I is yi minus y hat I. That means yi minus alpha hat minus beta hat xi. So you can very well see yi follows normal distribution that we have discussed. Alpha hat follows normal distribution, beta hat follows normal distribution. So u hat I is essentially, it is following normal distribution. Now, if we take deviation from mean, that is u hat bar, we know that u hat bar is equal to 0. So essentially, this can be rewritten as u hat I minus u hat bar divided by sigma whole square. And then summation. So this essentially gives me summation of square of standard normal distribution. And we have seen here in this table summation of square of standard normal distribution, independent standard normal distribution. This is nothing but chi-square distribution. So here what is happening? Here in the denominator, this part is basically giving me chi-square distribution divided by degrees of freedom, n minus 2. So essentially, I can write it as standard normal distribution divided by square root of chi-square distribution divided by the respective degrees of freedom. And we know by this definition, this ratio is nothing but a t distribution. And that is why we are saying this statistic follows t distribution. We are starting with standard normal distribution, you see here. But because we don't know sigma square, we are using an estimator of sigma square. That is summation of u hat I square by n minus 2. And when we are using this estimator, this standard deviation, this one, the square root of variance of beta hat, that is standard deviation of beta hat, this is now becomes standard error. This is the difference between standard deviation and standard error. It is basically estimated standard deviation because we don't know sigma square. We are using an unbiased estimator of sigma square. So the standard deviation is being replaced with standard error. And the moment we do this, then further standardization actually gives us this chi-square distribution in the denominator and standard normal distribution in the numerator. And eventually this ratio we know by definition, it is a t distribution. Is it clear?
So in this step where we replaced sigma square by summation u had, sir, it was division by n minus 1, like we proved it when we proved it before.
Which one? N minus 1.
Sigma square.
No, it is n minus 2. You see? It was you had I square divided by n minus 2. I just get back to that.
Okay. And sir, one more thing, like I understood like the you had I square divided by sigma square, like it's showing now and it's a normal distribution, but like still I didn't understand that how we like came to the last step, like Z1.
This one.
From this how we came to
this
the
to
last
this,
step.
no, this to this.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
good question. Very good question. See what we can write for this. Can't we write it something like, say, okay, I can go for one more step. So now this can be rewritten as, just drop this, minus a u hat bar. Okay, then this sigma and square. Can't I write it like this? Hello?
Yes, sir,
Can I write
because
it like this?
when we'll again expand open the square, the other two terms will be zero. That's
So
why.
this part is 0.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I am basically writing this as this. Now, if u hat I is a linear combination of normal variables, right? What is u hat I? Yi minus alpha hat minus beta hat xi. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
And this linear combination of normal variable, this is also a normal variable, isn't it?
So which one, sir? I cannot see your cursor.
U hat I is a linear, U hat I is what? Yi minus alpha hat minus beta hat xi. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yi is a normal variable,
Yes,
means
sir.
it follows normal distribution.
Yes, sir.
Alpha hat follows normal distribution.
Yes, sir.
And beta hat also follows normal distribution.
Yes, sir.
So what we are doing? We are considering U hat I as a linear combination of normal variables. Right?
Yes, sir.
A linear combination of a normal variable, that is also a normal variable, means that also follows normal distribution.
Yes, sir.
So U hat I will basically follow normal distribution.
Yes, sir.
So we are doing what? Taking deviation from mean and then divided by sigma. So this is basically standardized value. This is standardized.
Yes, sir.
So this is supposed to follow standard normal distribution.
Yes, sir.
And then we are squaring it and summing it up. When we square and sum the standard normal variables, what do we get? What distribution do we get?
Sir, chi-square distribution.
Exactly. So this part is chi-square divided by degrees of freedom. This is degrees of freedom. This one, n minus 2.
Yes, sir.
So essentially what you are getting? In the numerator, you are getting a standard normal variable. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
And in the denominator, you are getting a chi-square variable, square root. And by definition, this ratio follows a t distribution.
So, but what was the necessity of that U hat part there? Like, just summation of U hat I whole square also?
No, that I just wrote just to, I mean, for better understanding, because initially I had written this. And for some of you, maybe it was not clear. That's why I have just written it clearly. An alternative way of writing. Initially, I didn't write this step.
Okay.
Are you getting my point? So that later on it becomes clear to you. That's why it is written in this fashion. Because as you rightly said, I mean, U hat bar is equal to 0. I mean, there is, it is inherent. It is inherent. Am I right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the same way, you can derive the distribution for the test statistic for alpha hat. Same way. The only difference, I mean, that's the question that I had raised yesterday in the class, if you can recall, that if I am writing the test statistic like this, why am I saying this to follow t distribution, not z? Because ideally what we are doing here, essentially we are standardizing a normal variable. If we standardize a normal variable, it should follow ideally standard normal distribution. But then why are we saying T distribution? We are saying T distribution because we don't know the standard deviation. We don't know sigma square. Variance of beta hat depends on sigma square. Hence, standard deviation of beta hat depends on sigma square. But we don't know sigma square. We use an estimator of sigma square. And that's why we are saying that this will follow T distribution, because we are not using standard deviation, rather we are using standard error. And that's why we are not using Z distribution, rather we are using T distribution. Is it clear? I suppose for both T of alpha and T of beta. Is it clear?
Sir, can we wait for 2 minutes? Like
Yeah,
we need
so
to
what I'll do,
process this.
I'll stop, you see both, and then let me know, then I will proceed further. Okay, I'll stop here. That's a very good suggestion. Let us stop here. You take 5 minutes, go through the derivation, do it on your own, and then let me know.